Hello, good evening. Welcome to our Tara, Red Tara contemplation and practice group. Hope everybody's well tonight. We are currently in chapter 11 on changing of course, mind and meditation. So the final question in this chapter is, you have said we should use contemplation to redirect our thoughts and then let the mind rest. Can we work with the thought process itself while letting the mind relax? Rinpoche responds, become an astute observer of your mind. Watch the way it generates one thought after another, positive and negative. Isolate a thought and observe how this thought catapults the mind into happiness or suffering. Then it gives way to a new thought. This is all impermanent. This exercise sheds light on how the mind creates a whole reality that has no substance whatsoever. If you can isolate the process by which the mind solidifies the reality it projects, thus creating experiences and expectations, you can start to understand the illusory nature of thoughts and all that they generate. Then the whole constellation of mind's habits begins to fall away. So yes, you can work this way with your contemplation. Then, when you begin to perceive the illusory nature of the thought process, let the mind rest. Rinpoche would teach us that right now, in our ordinary state of mind, it's like we have a black veil that's hiding our true nature, which is like the unobstructed sky behind the veil. And every time that we meditate or we contemplate the truth or the Buddhist teachings, or if we have a glimpse of ultimate truth, the nature of mind, or we understand deeply impermanence or dependent origination, each time we have that insight, it's like we pierce a hole in this veil. So the process of practice and meditation is a very, very repetitive process, which some people, of course, find boring, but that's part of the method. Because over and over and over, we pierce the veil, pierce the veil, pierce the veil. And every time we pierce the veil, a little bit of the light of our true Buddha mind starts to shine through. So tirelessly, we keep doing that with whatever method we're using, self-visualizing Tara, for example, contemplating the four thoughts. We keep piercing the veil. And then at some point, a small piece of it falls away and more light comes through. And we begin to gain more and more confidence that what we're doing is valid. So with even more enthusiasm, we keep tearing away at this black ignorance that's hanging over our head. And then another piece falls away, and then another piece, and then another piece. And finally, the whole veil collapses. And we see our unobstructed Buddha mind. And we also see how for so many years, we and others that we know, everybody that we know, except for our teachers, have been under the influence of these obscurations. So actually, at this moment, we're creating this drama that we're living by believing in and solidifying our own thoughts and emotions, when ultimately it's just a veil of confusion that through the practice on all levels, we slowly disintegrate. So actually the Buddha mind was always there unobstructed. It's just that the illusory veil of ignorance has to be dissolved. It can be a tedious process. In fact, I think most people at some point find it tedious and boring. And I think a lot of people actually give up and try to find something else. But one thing that we really need to know, we live in a world, we live in a society that we want instant gratification, instant solutions. So, for example, we can take a pill and it'll take away our anxiety or our depression or whatever it is. And it's actually wonderful that those things exist because it's very helpful in many cases. But to really effect a lasting change, it takes time and it takes dedication, focus, and hard work. And in the case of Buddhist meditation practice, a lot of repetition. A very famous teacher, Chögyam Trungpa, once said, when we become bored with practice, that's when the practice really starts to work. Always remember that. Because we need to touch that boredom and we need to learn how to live with that and work with that and finally dissolve that. Because it's that boredom that makes us want to jump to the next thing, the next distraction, the next partner, the next drink, the next purchase, whatever it is, the next house, the next car, whatever it is. That's what's making our mind constantly jump like a flea because we don't want to touch that boredom. But boredom is just another concept created by the mind. And on the other side of boredom is deep, profound, resting peace. Where you have to gently work your way through the boredom. So when you start to get bored with practice, that's the time to double down. And it's very counterintuitive. Everything we do now, we do to avoid boredom. Since we're little children, I remember I used to tell my mom, "Mom, I'm bored." And she used to say, "I can't hear you when you're complaining." So we need to learn to work with that. It's not by chance that the Buddhist path is very repetitive.